I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And it's Tuesday, so you guys already know it is time for the Week 4 Power Rankings. So, let's dive into it. Number 1, Washington football team. I'm still going to have them at a C, even though despite the loss, I still don't see this Washington football team, which is still so stupid for me to say. I still don't see this team as being a bottom feeder team, but they're not very good. Dwayne Haskins still has struggled. The Ravens are a way better football team than the Washington football team, so you could easily have seen that game going that way. Next, we have San Francisco. I'm leaving them at a B. Mainly, I think the injuries. George Kittle came back and had an amazing game against the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost to Philly, and I think a lot of that was deal with the Eagles finally getting something together. The 49ers are not a bad football team, but the injuries, I think, are really starting to catch up with them, at least at this point right now, especially the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. It's really catching up to this 49ers team. Next, we have my Chicago Bears, and I'm going to move them down this week to a B. They looked absolutely god-awful on offense against the Colts. Matt Nagy refused to run the football. Montgomery only had 10 carries. The defense played solidly, only allowing 1 touchdown, and the rest were field goals, and 19-11 lost. But something about Matt Nagy's play calling, if you watch my preview video of the Buccaneers game, it scares me. Matt Nagy's play calling scares me. It really scares me because he refuses to commit to a solid running game, which I think can get this team to a different point versus just trying to throw the football 40, 50 times a game, which doesn't work in this league. Next, we have Cincinnati coming off of their first win of the season. I'm leaving them at a C. This team still plays absolutely hard. Still a very solid, playing hard football team. Now, they're not going to make any type of playoff run, but I definitely see them improving over the 2-14 that they were last season. Joe Burrow is looking like he could be the real deal. It's still time to play out, but I still really think Joe Burrow can be the real deal. Next up is the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to have the Bills. I'm going to have them here 4-0. I had this team as one of the uprisers of this 2020 season, and they've done nothing but prove me right with the way this defense is played and also the elevated play of Josh Allen. I did not see this Bills team being 4-0 at this stage of the year, but them being 4-0 and especially holding off a Rams comeback last week, 2 weeks ago, and then winning last week, it just lets me know that this Buffalo Bills team is for real and legit, and I still have them winning the AFC East. Next, we have the Denver Broncos coming off a win against the Jets. I'm still going to have the Broncos at C. They're also a team that has been riddled by a ton of injuries. Now, they did play the Jets, so I'm not going to read too much into that because the Jets, let's just say they're the worst team in football. But a win is a win in this league, and it's good to get them. This Broncos team is going to struggle without their weapons like Cortland Sutton, Von Miller, and also quarterback Drew Luck. So this team is going to struggle throughout the course of this year, but I still have them above the bottom of the league. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to have them at an A, especially scoring 49 points, albeit it's against the poorest Cowboys defense. But I still think this Browns team maybe finally start to live up to some potential that they really have. Now, they have a tough test this week against Indy, but I feel that this Browns team is finally living up to some type of expectations that they had, at least these last couple of years, especially coming into last year. So I feel this Browns team is improving offensively. They could do a little bit better defensive-wise and get more pressure on quarterbacks, but this team is going to be a threat. Next up, we have my Bears opponents this week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to have them at the A tier. The offense is finally starting to find some rhythm. I still question their defense, though, mainly the secondary, but you have Levante David, and you also had Devin White, who's playing good football at this point at the linebacker position for them. Tom Brady, Mike Evans is finally getting some rhythm. Ronald Jones has been a pleasant surprise for their offense, and Leonard Fournette has also been solid as well, with O.J. Howard emerging into one of the game's better tight ends, despite having Gronk on the team as well. So I still have this Buccaneers team at the A team. Next is the Arizona Cardinals, coming off 2 losses in a row. I'm going to move them down to a B tier because they really should have won that game against Detroit. And last week was just not their best game, especially Kyler Murray with the turnovers. But this team is still a threat, I feel. But the last 2 weeks has been a very disappointing act for both their defense, and also Kyler Murray's play has not been necessarily efficient, especially with the interceptions and the turnovers. Next up, we have the LA Chargers. I'm going to leave them at the B as well. Justin Herbert is really starting to look good. He's really looking into, I think, the quarterback of that team going forward. It's unfortunate the way that he got the position with Tyrod Taylor's strange injury with the punctured lung. But this Chargers team offensively is looking very good. I think the defense can be a bit improved. The injury to Derwin James does hurt their secondary a ton. But I feel this Chargers team is a very solid football team. And with the elevated play of their offense, they can use a little bit more from their defensive side of the ball, I feel. But I really think this Chargers team can be a very threatening team going forward. Next, Kansas City. I mean, come on now. Come on now. The way they decimated New England last night. Come on now. Patrick Mahomes just proves why he's the best quarterback in the game. It proves why he's the best quarterback in football. That defense is really, really playing better football than what I even thought coming into this year. Tyrann Mathieu is looking like the biggest steal of free agency last year. Them getting Tyrann Mathieu to lead this defense and also re-signing Chris Jones, who's been playing great football. Who can beat this Kansas City team at this point, the way they're playing right now? It's hard to see somebody beating them, at least at this point. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to have them at the A tier. This defense has proved legit. Phillip Rivers is playing solid football. They've been running the ball consistently. This Colts team is a very dangerous team. The offense is efficient. The defense is playing absolutely dominant, stellar football. So this absolutely Colts team is just, I think they can win that division, the AFC South. I really see the Colts winning that division with the Texans struggling. But also the Titans. You also have the Jaguars are struggling. So I think the Colts will win this division. Next, we have the 1-3 Cowboys. If it was offensively, I would leave this team here. But watching this defense, they have to be here. Defense is awful. Cowboys defense is absolutely awful. I mean, it is hard to watch this Cowboys team play defense. They're going so behind in games. The turnovers hurt them last week as well. Mistakes hurt them. But this defense has got to be the worst defense I've probably ever seen in my life. To let up 49 points against the Browns team, who was not necessarily the best offense, but to let up 49 points, you let up 39 against Atlanta, you let up 38 against Seattle. This Cowboys defense is god awful, and I think that will really hold this team back. Next, we have the Miami Dolphins. It did look tough against the Seattle Seahawks, but I'm gonna have this team. I think I'm going to move him here. I just don't. This team plays hard, but I just feel that at some point, Tua is going to be the quarterback that steps in. Fitzpatrick hasn't been all necessarily that bad this year, but I just feel that this team is not going to be at a competing level, and they're probably going to give Tua a chance at some point in the season to really see where he's at. They did play Seattle tough, but couldn't really make enough plays to actually pull off the upset. So I'm leaving the Dolphins at a D. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They got their first win of the year against the 49ers. I'm going to leave them at a C tier, but this team is still struggling, along with the rest of the teams in that division. The NFC East has to be the worst division in football. The worst division in football by far. Every team in this division has been god awful. The leader of your division is 1-2-1. The Eagles are 1-2-1 and sit at the top of the NFC East, and they haven't been playing good football all year. Spells a lot of trouble. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons. When are they gonna fire Dan Quinn? When are they gonna fire Dan Quinn? Defense is awful. They did lose KZ to, it looks like an Achilles injury, at least from my vantage point last night. This Falcons team is god awful on the defensive side of the ball. The offense can only do so much with the defense being that bad. So I'm going to put the Falcons at the bottom of the league. I'm also going to put the New York Giants at the bottom of the league. This team has injuries as well to Saquon. They did look opposing or somewhat of a threat against the Rams, but this offense just cannot get anything going. They cannot get out of their own way. They find ways to turn the football over, and defense has not necessarily been playing good football this year. So this Giants team is a D, and I'm also going to put this Jacksonville Jaguars team there. No, I'm going to put them at a C. I still don't believe in Gardner Minshew. I just don't. I don't believe that this Jaguars team is... Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to put them in a D. This Jaguars team is just bad. It is bad. It is absolutely bad. This Jaguars team is bad. But not as bad as the New York Jets. Adam Gase has to go. He's making Sam Darnold regress. This defense is awful. Offense is awful. Sam Darnold is the best thing that they have, and he can't necessarily progress with Adam Gase at the helm. I mean, it might be, you could say it could be a different switch if you fire Gase now, but he has the same situation that Bill O'Brien has as being a coach and a GM, and 9 times out of 10, that does not work. Belichick is the anomaly to that rule. Adam Gase, he has to go with the Jets. They have to start some stuff over with the Jets. They really do. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. Detroit is not as bad. I just feel, number one, they do not hold on to leads, and the defense is not necessarily living up to Matt Patricia's New England standards. But then again, New England had different players, but he has a lot of those players from the New England Patriots, and they still have not had success. Matthew Stafford, I've said a couple of times that he's the most underrated quarterback in football. If they could just surround him with a defense, I think this Lions team will be a lot better than what it has been. And had it been not for blown leads by their defense and also Stafford not making the best of plays, this team will be sitting a lot higher than what they are. Next, we have the Green Bay Packers. I hate to do this as a Bears fan, but I have to put them at the top. Aaron Rodgers is playing like Aaron Rodgers' old self. The Packers defense has been playing really good football. And this team is the threat, and this team is very, very scary heading forward throughout the course of this season. This team is very, very good. And I hate to even admit that as a Bears fan, but I have to keep it 100 for you guys. I got to keep it a buck. This Packers team is deadly. It's dangerous. Very dangerous. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. 1-2 in a row. I'm going to put them at the B tier. Teddy Bridgewater is finally finding some rhythm. The defense has been playing a little bit better than what it has the past 2 weeks. I think under Matt Rule, this team is finally finding some sort of rhythm. They played well against Arizona last week. So I really think this Carolina Panthers team, I've looked at them as solid going into this year. They may not have make the playoffs or something like that, but I really feel that this Carolina Panthers team is very, very competitive. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. I'm going to leave them here. The entire situation changed with Cam Newton tested positive for the virus. And I feel would have Cam Newton played against the Chiefs, I think it would have been a lot closer game than what it turned out to be. The Patriots defense is not, I don't think it's the same elite defense as he has in the past. But the offense looks a ton different without Cam Newton. And prayers go out to Newton, and hopefully he recovers quick and recovers back healthy from this virus. But I really feel that this Patriots team can still be a very good football team. It's just, I think the loss of Cam Newton really, really hurt them on a very, very short turnaround from him testing positive to Monday night's game. But next we have the Las Vegas Raiders. This team is a little bit, they kind of confuse me at times because sometimes they look like they could be very, very good, and sometimes they just don't look like the team that could be good. So I'm going to have this Las Vegas Raiders, it still irks me to say that, but Las Vegas Raiders team in a B. Derek Carr has been playing solid. I really want to see a little bit more from the Raiders defense. But this team is, I really just think it's just a really average football team right now. The LA Rams, they've been playing solid. I'm going to put them at an A. Jared Goff has looked a lot better than what I expected him to coming into this year. I really didn't think this Rams team, I'm not going to say I didn't think they would be competitive, but I didn't think they would look as good offensively without Todd Gurley. And Cooper Kupp, having him in the lineup has been a real big difference in their passing game. So I'm going to leave the LA Rams here. And Aaron Donald has been playing Aaron Donald-like football. The Baltimore Ravens bounced back this week against Washington. I'm going to have them still as one of the top-tier teams in football. I dropped them down last week because of how bad the defense looked against KC. But I really feel that this Ravens team, if they consistently keep a running game and also have Lamar Jackson throw the ball very good, is going to be up here. The defense, I still say Marcus Peters is overrated, but that's just my opinion on that. So I'm going to have this Ravens team at the S. I'm going to put the New Orleans Saints at an A. I don't necessarily see them at the S yet. I still feel this offense really misses Michael Thomas. Now they are coming off a big game against Detroit, but Detroit's defense is not necessarily that good. But I still think Alvin Kamara, I will honestly say I think he's the best back in football right now. The way that the Saints use him as a weapon, I think he's the best overall running back in football at this moment. Next up, we're going to have the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be left at the S tier. Russell Wilson did not play his best game last week, but he played well enough to pull off a win over Miami. And when you win those close games, that really tells you about the fortitude of the Seattle football team. The defense has really played a lot better than what I thought they would play this year. And Russell Wilson, I still feel, is the MVP so far this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to leave them at the A tier. They had a bye. And I'm also going to leave the Tennessee Titans at the A tier. Both teams had to bye due to the Titans virus outbreak. But I still think each one of these football teams is very, very good. It'll be interesting to see how each team goes forward this week, especially Tennessee with a lot of their players testing positive. So I will be interested to see how Tennessee fares from here. And Pittsburgh, I really feel that this team is finally getting it going offensively. Big Ben has started to look like his old self. James Conner in the running game has really been well. Benny Snell, I was trying to think of his name. Benny Snell has also been playing well for the Steelers as well. And this defense led by TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick has been playing really, really good football. The Houston Texans, I'm going to leave them at the bottom. Hopefully the firing of Bill O'Brien can change things. But this team really misses DeAndre Hopkins. This team made some bad decisions. Jadeveon Clowney being one of them. Tyrann Mathieu being another. DeAndre Hopkins is the biggest mistake I think they've ever made. And David Johnson, I still don't get why people think he's the elite. I don't feel why the Texans have so high of a value on him. But this football team is better than what their record says. And hopefully the firing of Bill O'Brien can really change things. And the last team is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to leave them at a C, coming off their first win of the year. I still don't believe in Kirk Cousins, but he made enough plays to beat Houston. Adam Thielen is really emerging to one of the better receivers in football. They still miss Stephon Diggs. Dalvin Cook has been playing really good football. This defense finally made enough plays to get them to win a football game, but it was against the Houston Texans team that was struggling. So here's my power rankings, guys. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like on the video. At this point, that's all I have. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I wanna say thank you to my mom and my daddy for making love the night that you had me. Wanna thank my friends, my sister, and my brother.